Hello, everyone, and welcome to our inaugural episode of Charros y Clasicos, a Bosky Strings podcast that takes you behind the scenes on some of the most talented musicians across the Rio Grande Valley and beyond. I am your host, Miguel Gutierrez, and I'm here with my good friend, colleague, and co-founder of Bosky Strings, Joel Leozuna.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to episode 0 of Charros y Clasicos. I am very excited to finally lift this project off the ground. This is something Miguel and I have been cooking in the kitchen for quite some time. We originally wanted to start this project, a few months ago?
Yeah, we've been wanting to start since the beginning of the school year, right? And, due to circumstances of busy season with servicing schools, fulfilling repairs for clients, and working on sales has postponed this project, but I think we have enough time now, right?
Yeah, and it's not forget what your lessons, events that we've done, and
yes, also preparing students for auditions and making sure they're on the right track, right? We want to make sure everything is just squared away. Yes. And
then to put things into perspective, our day started today at 7 in the morning.
Sounds about right. Yes.
And right now it is 8:18 p.m.
Oh wow, past 12 hours.
Yeah, and Miguel had just finished. Your last lesson was at 8?
At 8, yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy time for us.
Yes. So I guess let's get to the nitty-gritty, right? And discuss why Charros y Clasicos, or what is this? So why don't you explain this for us, Joel?
Let's see. Maybe we could start off a little bit about ourselves.
Yeah, so as mentioned before, my name is Miguel, and I am an employee here at Bosky Strings. I help with sales and bringing in clients for repairs and restorations. When I'm not doing that, I'm teaching privately here in the store. I have a private studio comprised of about 15 students. They come in once a week. I work with them, make sure that they're getting ready for any goals that they have in mind, like auditions or music festivals. There is a recital coming up for the studio in December, so that's currently what we're working on. And that's pretty much what I do here. What about you, Joel?
And as for me, I'm a string instrument specialist with over 15 years of experience. Like Miguel mentioned, I'm also the co-founder of Bosky Strings. It's a full-service specialty shop that specializes in orchestral string instruments. In addition, we also repair mariachi instruments like the vihuela, the guitarrón. We officially opened our doors back in July 15 of 2021 here in Edinburgh, Texas, which is located South Texas in an area known as the Rio Grande Valley. And
right.
We've been at it ever since.
Yeah, it's been quite the hustle, right? These past couple of weeks.
And that's kind of how the idea began to blossom. A little backstory. In 2017, after years of working for another violin shop, I decided to take a step out of my comfort zone, and I became a general manager for Panda Express. When I left Panda to open Bosky Strings in 2021, Miguel and I began to reconnect with our friends, our colleagues, our former clients who we used to serve, and that's when we had customers coming in, or former friends, clients coming in, and I guess it was that we haven't talked in a long time that we started reconnecting with some of the stories, how they were doing, how we were doing.
It was, in a way, we were rekindling our connection with people, right?
Correct.
Or, we're coming back home, and all these people haven't seen us in a couple of years, and they're wondering, where you all been? What have you all been up to,
Yeah.
We got a lot of that. But the next thing that we noticed, and I think you'll agree with me, is a lot of these clients come in and they just talk.
Oh, yeah.
They just talk and share their stories, right?
And we love it. We're not complaining at all. We love hearing the stories, the struggles, the adversity that people face to do what they do.
It's just so interesting that one person will come in to buy a string or a shoulder rest or something, and a trip that's supposed to be 5-10 minutes becomes an hour.
in most cases, yeah.
And it's not that they take up time, but it's interesting to hear what they have to say. They always tell us about their future projects, upcoming projects, or upcoming tours. And it's very interesting to hear what they all have going on for them.
Yes. And again, that's how this was, I guess, born, this idea. We want to share these stories with everyone and use this platform to not only educate but inspire others if they want to go into the field of music.
Right, and I also think it's something that we want, like you said, share what we experience here. It would be nice for everybody to understand that kind of connection that we have with our customers and clients and friends and colleagues, right? And I guess a prime example was Mr. Marvin Eagle, who came in, I think it was last weekend.
Was it this past weekend, Saturday?
And Saturday.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had donated some LPs to me, but of course, I mean, I come from a different time frame. I don't have a turntable, as they call it, at home. I stream everything, so I have all these LPs. What am I going to do with them? So I started reaching out to people. Hey, are you interested in these, or would you like to have these? And I offered him 2 LPs by a guitarist, Segovia. I know he likes him since he's a classically trained guitarist.
Yes.
And he immediately said yes. And, he came in and he was just crying out of joy when he saw them. He said, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, like I said, what was supposed to be a 5-minute thing, he ended up staying for over an hour.
Yeah, and we were talking about when he used to be at Juilliard, right?
Yes, he studied at Juilliard, and he was telling us about how Miss Dorothy DeLay, who was, one of the great violin professors at Juilliard, after Galamian, of course, prepared him for a recital. And I think he also spent some time with Itzhak Perlman.
Yes, he did mention that. And we're like, man, we also invited him, hey, we're going to do an interview one of these days with you. And
I mean, it's so interesting to see that there's people that have that kind of training here in the Valley.
Yeah.
Not all the people know about that.
Correct. And so, we're very fortunate to have people like him here in the Rio Grande Valley to help promote and spread the string culture across the entire Rio Grande Valley.
Another person that comes to mind right now is my old orchestra teacher in high school, Mr. Kurt Rame.
Oh, yes, our Valley historian when it comes to the strings, correct?
Yeah, and I think we mentioned prior to this recording of how he's that big staple that says, well, orchestra started in McAllen or it started in Edinburgh, and there's always that ongoing mystery of what started where, right, and what year. So I think that's something that we can uncover through this podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to share these stories of Valley musicians and beyond. There's other Valley musicians that are not in the Valley, but they've gone on to bigger things, and it's going to be a very exciting podcast.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to, speaking to our invited guests and seeing what they have to share. But first and foremost, I think the mission of our podcast is to influence.
Correct.
To influence and to
inspire
young listeners, right? Not just the old ones, but the younger ones, so that they could see, I can go to Juilliard.
Yeah.
Or I can be in this group. Or any of that sort that people think is impossible.
Yeah, to have possibilities. And I think this podcast will definitely do that. Why don't we talk about the name itself?
Yeah. So the main idea of the name came from, my own thinking of, what kind of musicians we want to interview. But of course, like ourselves, right? And mostly connected to mariachis and also classically trained musicians, right?
Correct. Since majority of all of our clients are either mariachis or classically trained musicians. And so, that was a good name Miguel picked out. Originally, it was called Mariachis and Clásicos, right?
Yes. And then you later changed it.
We morphed it to Charros y Clasicos.
Yeah, it just felt more comfortable it rolls off the tongue nicer, right?
There you go. And then you could do the 2 C's.
Yeah, the 2 C's, right? Our next trademark logo. And I remember when I was thinking about this, I said, you know what? I remember doing jobs as a kid or being at a gig with mariachis. And we would talk about remember certain people, string players or whatnot. Some people, one of my friends would say, sí, es que él es clásico. And, of course, in the terminology clásico, we're referring to someone who's classically trained. And I said, hey, you know what? That would be a great part of the name.
Yes.
To differentiate, right?
I remember that, yes. But no, here we are today, and we look forward to sharing many stories with you all. And I'm looking forward to interviewing people, try to get their backstory and hear, like I said, the adversities, the struggles, the journey of being a musician.
Their journey, and seeing how they've contributed to the community. You know, whether it's teaching at a school, teaching at a university, playing out there, doing shows. It's all contributing to our community.
Exactly.
So to wrap up, we have some events coming up, right?
Oh yeah, November is going to be a very busy month, and I'm all for it. I know this coming week on Friday, November 4th, we have the Valley Symphony Orchestra performing. Yes,
they're playing this Friday at the MPAC in McAllen.
And then you also mentioned to me that you have, there's middle school and high school region?
Yes, this weekend is Region 28 Region Orchestra concert in Harlingen. Next weekend will be the Region 15 Orchestra concert here in McAllen.
And then we have the UT RGV Viola Festival that's happening
16th through the 19th. And Dr. Deanna Sides has a studio recital
on the 10th.
And we also have Dr. Amarim, bass professor at the university, who has a guest artist coming in, right?
Yeah, he's coming in on the 9th and 10th. And we can't forget, we also have the Mariachi Extravaganza in San Antonio.
Oh, yeah, that's a big event.
That's going to be happening from November 16th through the 18th. And who could forget Thanksgiving?
Of course.
The week after that.
The week after that. So it's definitely jam-packed. We're going to try to churn out an episode, once a week?
I don't want to promise anybody anything, but we'll try to do one or as many as we can as we move forward.
Right. So despite the number of events this month, I think our main goal is to get as many people as we can to interview for us.
Yeah, and if anybody's interested in being interviewed, just give us a call, send us a text, message us, and we'll add you to the list. I'm pretty sure that there's no complaints here, so everyone's invited to join the podcast.
Excellent. So that being said, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you, listeners, for listening in on us.
And stay tuned for our next podcast, and we look forward to doing this. Thank you very much.